So, War Report family, it is your boy C Dub. Let's talk about this Auburn football coaching staff. It's almost complete, but we need coordinators. Who is that going to be? We talk about it on the Midweek Rapport. War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle, happy Wednesday. I'm joined by Ike Jones and B. Will. Mike G is resting tonight, but you are watching the latest and greatest Midweek Report brought to you by auburnsports.com. Please be sure to head on over there to get the latest regarding your favorite football team, the Auburn Football Tigers. Shout out to JG Tate and those guys for supporting us. And shouts out to you for supporting us and hanging out with us. Please be sure to share this video on social media. Please be sure to smash the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Also, you can also become a paid member of the War Rapport. Ike Jones can tell you exactly why you need to do that and the perks.
Yep, you can come on board as a member of the War Report family. $5.99 gets you to that patron level. I've been promising some film. I am close to delivering that to you all, so please be patient with me. God is not through with me yet, but I'm still trying to get through all of this stuff for you guys. I was hoping we would have some coordinator hires so I could just hit y'all with like this blitz of stuff about all these guys, but hey, listen, man, we'll get there. Anyway, supporter level at least will get you to the new stuff that we're doing, being able to chat with us in the mornings on the morning drop. The morning drop is a new thing that we're doing on the mornings, probably going to be on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Friday mornings. We'll skip Wednesday morning since you guys get to commune with us on the Midweek Report in the afternoons anyway. But yeah, if you want to be able to chat with us every morning with that, you have to be a member to be able to do that, but we appreciate everybody who's doing that so far. Gifting memberships is a thing you can do if you want to gift a membership as someone who already has a membership and pay for the first month of membership for someone else. You can do that right now and get someone else the joy of being able to be a part of the War Report family as a member of the War Report. We give away stuff every live stream, and today is no different. We're going to give away another one of these War Report mugs. Hashtag get your weight up. WarEagleOil.com is the place where you can go to get motor oil and motor related products. They are the sponsors of today's giveaway, but you need to hashtag get your weight up right now in the live chat to be part of this giveaway. And if you're not here, we'll pull a name and we'll go on past you and move to the next person. But please stay locked in with us around the 1 hour mark is when we're going to give that away. We might switch it up because some of y'all, I think, be like trying to like dip and be like, well, maybe just make sure I get back right. Nah, man, don't be trying to sneak out, bro. We do it at 10 minutes till or something like that and just fool you. It don't matter. Anyway, just be here and we'll give it to you just for being here and putting the correct hashtag.
Guys, we are 9 days into the Hugh Freeze era, and we're still looking for a coordinator. We did get some news earlier this week, some new additions to the staff. Jake Thornton was announced as the offensive line coach coming over from Ole Miss, and Wesley McGriff returns to the Plains to serve as defensive backs coach. I don't think it's clear as to exactly what position he'll be coaching, as Zach Etheridge is also a DB coach. Only thing is left now are coordinators. So who's it going to be? What's the deal with this? And I got to admit, this is really backwards. Yeah. I must say, this is incredibly backwards that we hired all of the assistants, but no coordinator. So whoever comes on as coordinator, particularly on the defensive side, I don't really care about the offensive side as much because we kind of know whose offense is going to be. But on the defensive side, whoever's going to be the defensive coordinator really has no say, I would think, in terms of who stayed on or who's going to be hired as an assistant working under them. How strange do you think this is?
It's not that strange, is it? And the reason I say that was a rhetorical question. So last staff, Brian Harsin, he knew he wanted Schmetting. He knew he wanted who was the outside linebackers coach in 2021? He went to the NFL after, but so he had some guys. He was what's his name?
Burt Watts.
Burt Watts. There we go. He had some guys who Harsin had guys he knew he wanted to bring along for a lot of the reasons that Ike outlined. I don't have to impress upon these assistant coaches my philosophy, my style, my ethos per se. I bring them in, they know it, and we can move because we've got to impress our style and our culture on a whole new team has to get on board quickly because all this stuff happens quick. So instead of having to reset and get, like I said, the best guy in every position that you can find, you bring people who are already caught up. Hey, you handle that, you handle that, you handle that. I need somebody who's going to do this grandmaster planning on the second tier, but the third and fourth tiers are filled out. Now, what that means, obviously, is whoever you hire has to be okay with having a lot of those decisions already made for him. And what that says to me is it's not going to be somebody who is coming in as one of the most highly touted defensive coordinators with national championship experience. That's not going to be that. Not that he was a candidate, but think like a Will Muschamp, a stalwart defensive mind who is known for coaching defenses, great defenses. And you say, hey, I got a position for you. I'll pay you the same money, if not more. No, because you made a lot of decisions that I would want to make because I know what I'm doing. And it's not that I hate your guys, but those aren't the guys I would pick. So, no, thank you. So what that says to me is that it's going to be somebody who is an up-and-comer or with relatively less experience than somebody who is, you know, a Will Muschamp or Derek Mason or something like that. And you pair him with Wes McGriff because his listing says he actually put it on social, co-defensive coordinator and secondary coach, which means you're sharing responsibilities. So that knocks out quite a few people off the back. I don't know who all was up for it, but I got the feeling that even though they said saw the information that Derek Mason might be in the runnings, at least some shallow interest from Auburn to Mason, that I don't think he's going to come back here to be a co-defensive coordinator. Like you're talking about people who absolutely know I'm okay with what you have under control and I get a chance to control just this portion. Cool, I'm down with that. So what this means is that by having a co-defensive coordinator already in position, we're not going to get that. That just eliminates quite a few names in addition to that. So I think that leaves T. Will in the running because he was, and I'm not exactly sure how this goes. I saw people saying that he shared some responsibility for the defense at UCF, even though it was overall his defense. I'm not sure exactly how that was split. But he's still an up-and-comer. He's only been doing it 2 years. He could probably be here and still learn as a defensive coordinator, sharing some responsibilities as he continues to build his resume. So that makes some sense. I'm sure there are one or two others who it makes some sense. I thought Charles Kelly was going to be a candidate as a secondary coach because he hadn't been a full DC in a while, but he's off to Colorado with Coach Prime, so that takes him off the table. And we got questions. I don't know who it's going to be. I thought we'd have more answers by now, but you know, it's starting to clear up a little bit, but we don't have all the answers yet.
Yeah, and Melvin says that Crime Dog will be coaching corners. So,
I mean, so the thought process would be that they split the defensive backfield room into safeties and corners, and one would handle safeties, one would handle corners. I don't know that that's a common practice in college.
We've done it before.
But so you would have safety, corner, defensive line, linebackers, and then your DC would be somebody. And then I don't really know how they would handle the special teams group. It just, I don't know. Going back to the original question, does it seem weird that you did not handle your coordinator hire first? Yes. My initial thought was, oh, it must mean that we already have the guy in pocket and they're behind the scenes because they're still coaching somewhere and they don't want to make the announcement. And, they're, helping architect this thing, but they just haven't announced yet. But it just feels weird to not have made that announcement now that conference championships are over.
Right.
Even if that person is coaching for a team that is potentially going to be playing for a national championship in the college football playoff, I don't know who that could be. That means that you're going to be promoting a coordinator from one of those teams because you're not taking the D coordinator from any of those teams. unless again they had a hand in saying, yeah, I want these guys on my staff, and that just feels unlikely because I don't know that any of the guys that are on any of those 4 staffs are looking to make a move.
Right. I mean, Charles Kelly was on that staff, not as a DC, but
well, that's what I'm saying. Like he's already announced
he's
going
already
somewhere
made a
else.
move.
So like
Right.
who else? So again, you have to look at where the not deficiencies, or where the places where we need help to coach a position group. So T-Rob is out because you've got you got 2 DB coaches already. You're not going to put a third DB coach as the defensive coordinator. So it's got to be someone who's going to be a linebacker coach by trade, or a defensive line coach by trade, or somebody who specializes with outside linebacker / edge group people. Those are the only people that make sense to fill out a staff at that point in time. And I just don't know who that person is going to be from guys that are in the college football playoff.
Right.
Marcus Holland is asking, maybe our DC is in the NFL, which people have mentioned Kiffin's brother.
Yeah, Chris Kiffin got mentioned a while. I don't know, but again, why do you not go ahead and make that hire? Like, he's a coach for the Browns.
Right.
What are we waiting on with that? There's literally nothing.
They're not eliminated.
It doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It does kind of matter.
It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter to me.
You're gonna go all Petrino, huh, and just bounce.
No, it does not matter to me. I don't care nothing about the Cleveland Browns and their playoff hopes.
Yeah.
If you're a Browns fan, I'm sorry, I don't care.
So what you're saying is you don't care?
No, not even a little bit.
Got it. Eric's Candles says, do you guys think the Wisconsin defensive coordinator step down is a coincidence?
I would love to have Jim Leonard as the DC. He is an outstanding defensive coordinator.
Be nice, but again, he's a DB guy.
What did he coach?
Yeah, defensive back. So like, I don't know that his step down was more so a slap in the face to him. He wanted to stay on as the head coach of Wisconsin. He was the interim coach at the point in time. This would be akin to a situation where, like Cadillac, where he had been at the school for a long time. He wanted the head coaching job. He didn't get it. And so he was like, you know what? I'm cool on this. I'm out.
Yeah. He's been the interim. Well, he was the interim this time. He's been on that staff for 7 years through 2 head coaches. And similar to what happened here, he turned the program. I mean, they competed. They were more competitive after their head coach got fired, but he's been there a lot longer, and he had more.
He's been coaching a lot longer period, though.
Right, as a DC, not a position coach, so he had more skin in the game at Wisconsin than Caddy had even here, and that I thought that was peculiar. I mean, I get why you go get Fickle. It makes sense to go get a seasoned winning head coach that Fickle was already in the blueprint, already in the footprint, of the Big Ten. But I wonder if they offered him the defensive coordinator position. He was like, nah, y'all ain't gonna play me like this.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know though.
But I'm pretty sure they wanted to retire. I can't think of a reason why, with the defense that Wisconsin has had over the last 6 years, why you would want to get rid of Leonard as your DC. But again, and so that's the other thing that makes me say to myself, like, why would he take a DC job here if he really wants to be a head coach?
Right.
There are head coaching opportunities that exist out there. They might not be Power 5 jobs, but there are jobs that are out there.
Right.
And so it feels like that's his next destination, is to go be a head coach somewhere, wherever that is.
Yeah.
So let's kind of get an update on the graphic we put up last week. These are the guys that were mentioned early on in the process. Barry Odom has taken the head coaching job at UNLV. Of course, Charles Kelly has joined Prime at Colorado. That leaves us Travis Williams, Zach Arnett, whose name did get floated out this week. He's the Mississippi State defensive coordinator. Had some pretty decent defenses there. I actually would not be mad at this. He actually coaches linebackers. So I guess the question I would have, Ike, is if it's a Zach or a Travis, I guess you have someone coaching interior linebackers and someone coaching outside and edge.
Yeah.
Or how does that even work?
That's likely how it would get divided amongst them. Or you, that would make the most sense, is that it would be like an outside edge guy versus an interior linebacker guy. But somebody still has to coach special teams, and we don't really have a person who's designated as the special teams coordinator as of right now either. So that's a possibility. If anybody has some background in that, maybe you move C Rob out to coach, but I don't know. I honestly, if you're asking me to make sense of any of this right now, I don't have it for you, because to me it just doesn't make sense. But somebody knows better than me. I've never been a head coach of anything, so
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Bay Lyman says, I heard Todd Grantham possibly for defensive coordinator. Not too crazy about that.
Me either. But
I may literally throw a tantrum if we hire Todd Grantham.
you know what? I would find it very difficult for me to get on here and spin that in a very positive way. Now, Todd Grantham is maniacal in the way in which he dials up blitzes. Like, he definitely has a unique mindset when it comes to how he's exotic with the pressures that he puts together. But those Florida defenses under Grantham were not pretty.
I mean, the
They just
Georgia
weren't.
defenses was suspect.
I just can't. I can't see Todd Grantham. I can't see myself getting excited about Todd Grantham. Somebody gonna have to convince me that Todd Grantham makes a lot of sense, even with Wesley McGriff as his co-DC. Like,
well, let me. I don't want to call it being the devil's advocate, as my mom say, the devil don't need no help. But I see Kramer. Okay, I get it now. Kramerica industry saying we got to get players on defense, regardless of the DC. The players make the defense more than the offense. This I actually agree with. I think you can scheme your way into some offensive numbers. I mean, I would say look at the service industries, the service programs, all of them. They can. The scheme makes them competitive, and it's only the scheme. If you take that away, just like Georgia Tech used to be once upon a time, but defense, I want to say again, our 2019 defense was the best we had seen in 15 years. If I take two dudes off that defense, it is the 2014 defense. And I absolutely believe that players can make that big of a difference and that big of an impact. All those schemes and blitzes, they can get home, or it's a lot easier to have an impact when you have two dudes who can get home to the quarterback anytime they want, or at least create a ridiculous amount of pressure on the quarterback. And then he looks like a genius. And Will Muschamp's Florida recruits ran out during the Jim McElwain era, and they never re-recruited at an elite level on defense like they had while Muschamp was there, which again lasted about 2 more years after he left, which is why Florida was in the SEC championship game for 2 straight years. I don't know if y'all remember that. But it was more about what Muschamp had left. So yeah, you get the right dudes. Yeah, you can be competitive, and it can wipe away some discrepancies in your strategy or your ability as a defensive coordinator. So that's got to be the plan if you get Grantham. That would be. I don't like the idea. I've seen him be mediocre in more places than one, and that's why it's like, I don't know, man. It might be you. But those places also weren't getting elite defensive talent. So if the only answer is get way better defenders than everybody else, then okay,
Georgia.
I mean, he was, but were they getting what they get now? That he was there under Riggs, right? Mark Riggs.
I mean, they were recruiting fairly well. I mean, they're not recruiting on the level that Kirby Smart was, but they were still top 10 defense. I mean, overall recruiting classes.
Were they ever bad defensively?
They could have been better.
Yeah,
they could have been better at times. Georgia fan. I remember Georgia fans complaining about him, and it got worse when he went to Florida.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't convince myself to be excited about Todd Grantham. He fits the profile of what I talked about as somebody who would coach linebackers / edge or defensive line, and be in that DC slot, so he would have a room. But I can't see it, man. I can't see myself getting excited about him. Sorry, I'm gonna have to come on here and fake it for y'all and do something.
I ain't faking nothing. You're going to get my true, honest opinions. Brian Hatcher, we appreciate the super chat. He says, for any who might be concerned about coaches coming from Liberty, how many did Tuberville bring from Ole Miss? Looking forward to the new staff. And I think this is addressing, I've seen this on Twitter and people who have complained about him bringing assistance with him from Liberty. Thoughts about this, gentlemen?
Listen, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It makes complete sense for him to bring people in who are familiar with his systems, his the way, like there's a lot more that goes into organizing a Saturday of football than just watching film and going out and having practice.
Right.
Like there is a way that coaches conduct me, like I'll give you a case in point. Um Coach Lack talked about how they changed the day that they did chapel, right? Like that's a process thing of like, what day do we want to do this thing that centers around something that's not football related to
Mhm.
get ourselves ready to go play football? Some people, and assuming the Harsin staff thought that that should be a after game breakdown thing of like, all right, early in the week to get our minds ready for a week of football. They took it the exact opposite way under Coach Lack, which is the way apparently they had been doing it for years under, um, when he had first gotten there, when he was in school just forever, it had been a Thursday or Friday thing, end of the week thing to get your mind a break from football before we get back into game stuff, right? And so that's a process thing. What days we do certain things, when I expect you guys to have game plan stuff to me, when we do installs, what's going to be the process of what days we're going to be doing film review, like when do you work, individually with your groups versus what we come in and we put all things together for a side of the football, like how do we do substitutions, like there's all of those things are process things that are going to be determined by your head coach and your coordinators of how you want to run that. Like who's responsible for packages. Like if we say, okay, it's this particular package and I want to run this play, you need to know who the people are in that subgroup. Like there's just a lot of stuff that they're mechanical things that you have to, how we're going to evaluate and recruit people. How do we decide when somebody's not playing up to snuff and we go to the too deep person on this, like there, all of that stuff is process stuff.
Yeah.
And you need people who are familiar with your process so that when you make a decision, I used to work at a company, and one of the things that the CEO of the company used to talk about is that with the people who are in like were VPs, and when they had leadership stuff, he was saying he always used to say he doesn't look for consensus, right? Like I don't need everybody to agree with the decision. We make a decision in this room, but once we walk out of this room, everybody's on one accord with whatever that decision was, whether you agreed in the meeting or not. And there are ways that people, like some people make decisions by like, is everybody on board with that? Not saying it's, and I made that sound like that's like a really soft mentality. Is everybody on board with this? Everybody good? And or some people are like my way or the highway people. They don't really care. And then there are people who are right there in the middle who like they seek to get everybody's consensus. But if we can't, then it ultimately is my decision, and we're gonna move forward with whatever I say.
Right.
All of those are styles. How we handle kids when they're in trouble, how we report on injury. Like there is a style of how you coach, and everybody needs to be on board with that. And if they're not, the locker room gets contorted because we don't really understand whose voice we're following, and we don't know who we go to for certain things, and we don't how we communicate with parents throughout the week and year about what's going on, the regularity in which we have these types of meetings with the school about how they're doing in like all of that stuff, bro. So I'm just saying, like, you need people who understand that process, who can work your system, work your program so that you can move quickly.
A few here on while we're still talking about defensive on the defensive side.
No.
Letson Kirkin says, "What do y'all think about about Kevin Steele from Miami?"
No.
No.
How did he do in Miami? I don't know.
I will be equally as disappointed in this hire as I would be with Grantham.
Did he do good in Miami this year? I saw no, actually their defense was good. They those were some of the lowest scoring games probably in all of FBS this year. I think they won one game like 13-9
Their
or something.
issue was not defense. I don't think. I don't
Yeah, it
remember. I
wasn't
don't
defense.
recall them.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be happy with Kevin Steele coming back to Auburn. I don't think that he's a bad coordinator. I don't really want to retread, bro. Like I just don't want to go back down that.
Yeah.
Like I actually feel as good a coach as he is, I feel similarly about Muschamp. I just don't really want to go back down that road again.
Muschamp don't want to be here too. So, and that's the thing. One thing I did like about Kevin Steele was that he was, well, at the time, I thought he was content just being the defensive coordinator here until he retired. Because that's something he said when he got hired or why he left LSU. He had some history here and he would be fine being here and just retiring and living here with his wife. Turns out he wanted a little more, apparently. But I want somebody who's cool, just like, no, this position I'm at right now, this coordinator or this position group, I could do this for the rest of my life. And I don't have any aspirations to do anything else. So this is where I want to be for the future.
I absolutely would rather go T. Will if we got to go Kevin Steele. Like,
yeah, and when I say retreads, I mean specifically at DC. Like I get Wesley McGriff is back, and I'm actually a fan of having T. Will come back as defensive coordinator. I don't really want a defensive coordinator rehire.
Yeah, McGriff is back because he got fired after the staff got fired. So like, it's not like he left voluntarily. Like, nah, I don't need them. I can do my own thing.
Same thing with T. Will.
Right. He was not retained. These people were not retained. They liked being here. They wanted to be here. So yeah, I'm cool with them coming back.
Control Chaos says, I want a Freeze interview. I get he's busy, but still.
I want one too.
that makes all of us here. Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely try to get that for you in the future. Cody Smith says we're gonna be okay, y'all. Trust the process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Also, Western Kentucky's QB just hit the portal. Yeah, I think I think when it's all said and done, I think we'll be fine with everything. I actually have been okay with the hires we've had thus far. I just think the order in which the hires have come about have been a little bit puzzling, considering that you are building a staff. It's not like you had someone vacated the position and now you're looking for a coordinator. Typically, you build it by getting your coordinators early on in the process as opposed to later. But we'll definitely talk about players in the portal on the second part. What do we think about the offensive side, guys? Obviously, it's Hugh Freeze's offense. When I'm not as worried about offensive coordinator because it's pretty much going to be Hugh calling it. But there was speculation about Longo at one point, who was the North Carolina offensive coordinator. He has since taken the position, same position at Wisconsin. What do we think about this position?
Yeah, the only thing I guess, again, I want the staff to be figured out, because though we've heard speculation of who the wide receiver coach is, there's never not been any formal announcement on that. And I think a lot of guys, people want to know who's going to be coaching that room, specifically because we've already gotten rid of a guy that was universally liked in the locker room and a lot of fans liked in Ike Hilliard. And so that's going to be important. And then the other portion of that is, who is the OC going to be, more so from the standpoint of, is that going to be a guy who is really more so of a position guy and is like a QB coach, or is it going to be like a wide receiver coach that's your OC, right? And so a lot of those things play into who and how you recruit more so than how the play calling is going to go. Because at this point, I don't think the hint of him turning over play calling duties to someone specific, I don't think that we're in that space anymore. I think we're at the point now where he's going to get somebody who's going to be specifically going to work with quarterbacks so that he can recruit the kind of quarterbacks he wants on a consistent basis and groom them as an offensive coordinator, play caller. But that needs to be in place, because the portal is wide open right now and guys are making decisions upon where they want to go and visit. And you kind of just want to jump on that. And then early signing day is literally 2 weeks away. And so you've got to have your staff in place so that you can begin to recruit, and not just so much from the standpoint of who they're recruiting, how they're recruiting, but just bodies. Like, you need people that are going to be influential in those young men's like position group room to already have voices with those young men as well. You know, like you think about this for a second, and I feel like I'm talking way too much and I apologize, but think about this for a second. If you are a VAR, right? VAR is coming up on his senior year. How many wide receiver coaches has VAR had since he started at Auburn?
No, wait. 2021 was his redshirt freshman year, right?
Last year was his junior year, I think.
4, right? I think he's had 4.
Okay.
Cody?
So, I mean, either way, he's coming back. So,
yeah, well, I'm just saying, just think about how many people who he's had as a position group person. Cody Burns. Then it would have been
Corn.
Then it would have been Keysal.
5.
then it would have been
Actually,
Ike Hilliard, and now it's going to be somebody else. Like, that's a lot of different people for you to try to figure out where you sit with them and how we're going to do stuff. And like that's a lot, man.
Yeah.
The kids want stability is my point of all that. They want somebody who they feel like is going to be there, that they can relate to, that they're going to enjoy coaching them. And you need to get somebody in here that knows that stuff.
For sure. And I think it was reported Derek Nix, the wide receiver coach at Ole Miss, was in the running, but I hear he had like an insane type of buyout situation with them. And so that was someone that Hugh Freeze was looking to groom, but also is known as a really good recruiter as well. So I kind of see the mold of what he's going for. But thoughts on the offensive coordinator situations, B, before we jump to the break?
I mean, who knows at this point? It's kind of all up in the air. I don't know if they're waiting for somebody's season to end or if they are waiting for an NFL season to end. I have no idea. I think you can probably get away with delaying this. Unlike Harsin, I think Harsin really hurt when Austin Davis didn't come on board. I think it hurt with recruiting from that point on because you still don't have an identity if you're Brian Harsin after year one. But Hugh Freeze has an identity. He's going to say, look at my Ole Miss tape. Look at Liberty with Malik Willis. Look at the guys I put in the league at wide receiver, at tight end, at offensive line. You're good. Trust me. The NFL is going to love what we do here. I think that has some pull. You probably don't need an OC, but it would be great to get a wide receiver coach because that portal is filling up. So we got the offensive line coach, and so he can go out there and do some work. I think you need that wide receiver coach, though. And I'm wondering, why if Grant Hurd is number one on the list, why hadn't he moved? I know you can pay him more than UCF can. I saw the guys that he recruited on his recruiting profile. That's what has me wondering what's going on. Because
but I'm wondering, is it a similar situation? If the theory is that, and me and Ike talked about this before we went live, it could be why you wonder if it's actually Travis Williams who's a defensive coordinator, because where else does he coach? UCF. And I don't know if that's something that they're just waiting to announce or what, but part of a theory.
Yeah, I said it's a theory, right? You know, I know he being Hugh Freeze and Gus Malzahn are good friends. And so I don't know if maybe he's like, hey, man, hold off on all of this. But then you're putting them further behind the 8 ball with having to hire somebody else. So it's just like, I have no idea what to think about any of this stuff anymore. And if you're asking me to make sense of it, I can't, unfortunately.
Cody Smith with the super chat. Appreciate you, man. He says, go and get Lincoln Riley's brother from TCU. Why not?
So that would hold true to somebody in the college football playoff, at least.
Right.
But I don't know. I haven't heard any rumors of Riley. I think people start throwing out names just because they like someone as opposed to someone who has at this point, if they haven't interviewed or they haven't been on the list, then we're in scramble mode, and that's not good. So
right.
if Riley isn't already somebody who you're in talks with and that's a realistic proposition, then at this point, I don't see any reason why he would come and why would he take the job here versus staying where he is as another, like giving guys upgrades over their old positions makes a lot of sense. Giving guys who were OCs somewhere else and they're unhappy in their situation. I can't imagine he's unhappy at TCU and they're in the college football playoff. And then he goes and takes a rebuild job at Auburn for the same position. Sounds good, but why would he do that? I don't know the answer to that. With no ties to Auburn, no ties to Hugh Freeze.
Right. And you're working for, I mean, again, he's doing it. He's doing it at TCU because Sonny Dykes is an offensive mind, right?
Right.
But
he's an offensive guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it could work, but Hugh's calling the plays. I don't know if Sonny's calling the plays there.
Well, did he say that for sure?
Did who say that? What for sure?
Did Hugh say that I'm calling the plays?
He says he's open. He's open. He's open to bringing another offensive coordinator and him calling the plays. But depending on who this OC will be, it's a good chance that Hugh is still going to be calling plays. So, guys, you are watching the Midweek Rapport. Please be sure to share this video, guys, on social media. Smash the like button and subscribe if you are new to the channel. to pay some bills and acknowledge some of the sponsors of the War Rapport.
This edition of the War Rapport is made possible by our generous sponsors. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn Sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. Athletic Architects. For young athletes looking to secure their financial future, let Athletic Architects help you to build your financial house. Head over to BuildTheHouse.com. And our giveaway sponsor, War Eagle Oil. War Eagle Oil is your #1 place for all of your motor oil and related products. For more information, visit WarEagleOil.com.
Yes, indeed. Head over to WarEagleOil.com. Visit all of our sponsors, man. We sit here and we announce all these people who sponsor the War Report. Hopefully you guys are going and patronizing some of these places and they can continue to be sponsors of the War Report because, you know, hey, otherwise they'd just be like, this ain't doing us no good. And that doesn't do us any good in the long run. So you guys go and support the people who support us. You can support us directly, though, by getting a membership with the War Report. $5.99 gets you to the place where you can get all of the behind the scenes stuff or behind the paywall stuff. But if you want to just be able to talk with us a little bit more, get priority in the chat some of these times, you can get a $3.99 supporter membership, and we appreciate it all the same. So go ahead and get on board with a membership to the War Report, and we will greatly appreciate that. If you are a member and you want someone else to get the joys of that experience, you can gift memberships now on YouTube in the live chat. You can click and give memberships away. The first month of their membership will be on you. So go ahead and gift a membership to somebody. It's the holiday season. Why not give the gift of eternal happiness, which comes in the form of War Report membership? It's not eternal. It's month to month, but still, you can go ahead and at least get the first month on you. We are doing a giveaway, and we're going to be giving away this lovely War Report mug. It has all the joy that can be encapsulated in one cup. You can pour that all into your War Report mug and sip on that throughout the holiday season, and it will continue to give you joy as you watch Alabama fans backpedal on their stance that basketball doesn't matter. So you can have that and be ready. And we're giving that away to someone. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments. Sponsored by War Eagle Oil. Again, War Eagle Oil is your place for all motor oil and motor related products. Head to WarEagleOil.com. But hashtag get your weight up right now. And then just a plug for the Auburn Express. If you guys want some audio only content, make sure you are locked on with the Auburn Express on all of your podcast places. That's it.
We'll grab some comments here before we get into talking about the transfer portal. Riley M says, unfortunately, I think we did kind of miss on Prime. He says Colorado is going to be a problem. Cody Smith comes back and says, to answer the comments, we 100% dodged a bullet with Dion. Thoughts on that? I think it's a little too early to determine whether or not we missed the boat on Dion or dodged a bullet, as some people may think. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Listen, what Dion is about to do for Colorado is going to happen quickly, and it's going to be a very steep incline because he's Deion Sanders. Instant. He's Deion Sanders. And now 4- and 5-star guys are in the portal like, hey, you got room for me? Has anybody added Hugh Freeze on Instagram to say, hey, you got some room for me, Hugh? No. All right. And that doesn't mean that Hugh Freeze is not a good recruiter. It doesn't mean he doesn't have a staff that's a great recruiter. Nobody in the country is Deion Sanders. The Deion effect is what we're seeing take place right now. Now, if we would have liked that here, you multiply that Deion effect by the infrastructure of Auburn football, it would have been outrageous. Yes, it would have been a very big deal. We would have been the place to be for everybody who's looking to get in. All of these recruits who are on the fence, or we're talking about flipping, or we have to hire our position coaches to go and try to flip, they're on. It would have been flipping a switch just like that. And if you're going to say that there's a lot that comes with that the Auburn faithful or the Auburn fan base might not like, maybe it's possible. It's possible. I think the Auburn fan base has very particular taste when it comes to personality and the style of coaching and all of that stuff. And Deion's probably a little too flashy for some people. Deion he's a big talker and he brings a lot of attitude. Some people don't like that. They like a nice, quiet, humble coach, is friendly and talks God fearing, and you know what? Yeah, that's why again a lot of people had trouble parting ways with Gus Malzahn, because character-wise, he was everything that they wanted an Auburn coach to be, but we didn't do the winning, and the quarterback situation was bad, and the offense was looking bad, so you didn't get both, which is what they were so torn about letting Gus go. It was like, man, he really checks those other boxes though. Every football box will be checked by Deion Sanders. They're going to get coached. They already hired Mike Zimmer as a defensive coordinator, who was an NFL defensive coach. He actually had strong
tried to
ties.
hire him. They did. They got Kelly now.
Oh, they got who?
Charles Kelly.
Charles Kelly.
That's right. That's right. They got Kelly. I thought they hired him.
They
tried to hire Zimmer. I don't like getting into rumors. It just didn't work out.
Okay. Because I know Zimmer was down there with him in Jackson State doing something.
Definitely.
Right. Okay. So that was somebody who was in Deion's court. I think they had some connections going back to the NFL, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not Deion was going to be a bad fit for Auburn, I don't know. I think that we do a lot of everything that we have lacked in players fixed in the instant. That's why so many people wanted Lane Kiffin, right? Oh, transfer portal. Who's going to turn around quick? Yeah, that's Lane on times 10 until the 10th power is what Deion would have done. I don't think it's a bad situation to get that much talent. And unlike everywhere else, what you're seeing at Texas A&M and to a lesser sense at Alabama, and we're going to have that conversation very soon, which is you bring all these players in here that are highly touted, and they don't want to stay that long. Players don't want to stay and not play. NIL creates a situation where players can be compensated by fulfilling these requirements if it's related to the team and showing their faces places. Sure. Here's the thing, though. My name, my image, and my likeness is only valuable if people know my name and they are seeing me play on the field. If I'm a 5-star talent and I'm signing on and y'all are saying everybody in my position is going to get $25,000 this year just for being here and doing some appearances, okay, cool. But here's the problem, though. If I'm on the field playing and starting, my NIL deals could be worth up to $1 million. But for some reason, you got me on the bench. You got me messed up, bro. I'm out of here. Why am I here? NIL is like that's the beginning of it. The arrangement is the beginning of it. I need to be on the field to play. And if you don't have a coach who has a strong enough character or can create a strong enough culture to keep kids in place while they are not playing, then it's all going to fall apart. Jimbo Fisher. Why am I here? We losing. We are losing. I'm not playing and we're losing. What am I here for? I'm going to go somewhere else and ball out. People still remember my name. I was just in the coming out of high school last cycle. So now they're going to jump back in the portal. Their name is still hot, still memorable, and they're going to go somewhere where they can play. Deion is like the cheat code because everybody who goes there, they're going to stay. They're going to stay. If it's 1 year, 2 years, you got to wait. It doesn't matter. You're there under Deion Sanders. You're going to get some quality coaching. You're going to, all of a sudden, all your games are going to be on TV for whoever carries the Pac-12 games. Who knows? I don't know. And you're going to be seen. You're going to be visible, which makes your name, image, likeness deals that much more valuable. Deion solves a lot of problems. I said this when we were first speculating about, man, could Deion come here? I didn't think Deion Sanders was a long-term fix for Auburn. He's not a long-term fix for Auburn. Is a short-term fix bad, though? I don't, you know what I'm saying? You just stack the whole room with talent, top to bottom, and then he leaves.
Short-term fix as well. So,
yeah. So I don't know. It depends on what you like, whether or not Deion was going to be ideal for you. I'm more about results than anything else. I prefer a long-term fix, but if you're telling me short-term, we're going to be in well, we won't have the 14 playoff much longer, but short-term, we're top 6 in the college football playoff 2 out of 4 years that Deion was going to be here and he Jets. Hey, I'm cool with that. We recruited like crazy. Yeah, we got something
going. I think all eyes will be on Colorado and what Deion does here, because the big question around Deion is not his ability to bring talent to a program, because obviously we know he's capable of doing that. He did that at Jackson State. The real question is, can he win some games at this level? And I think that's what a lot of people are going to be taking notice of now that Prime is at a Power 5 conference school.
Yeah. I think the thing is a lot of people question his coaching tenure thus far, right? Like the only place he's been a head coach is at Jackson State, and he essentially had the deck stacked. right?
Yeah.
But if he stacks the deck at Colorado, isn't that the same thing? Like if he goes and gets talent that stacks the deck at Colorado on the level at which it's Power 5 talent that he can actually get to come there and not have to convince to come. He's still got some convincing to do, but at least it's a Power 5 school. Can he not still go and dominate in that same fashion? Like, do people feel like the coaches were bad at the HBCUs that he was coaching against, and that's why his talent supersedes? I just think talent supersedes a lot of things, and if you get the right coordinators in there, those are the people who are calling the plays anyway.
Sure.
You just need to understand who you are. The difference between a Coach Prime to me and a Coach Hugh Freeze is Hugh Freeze understands who he is, which is I'm a play caller. I'm an offensive mind, and I'm going to go out here and I'm going to make sure we're going to put up points. Coach Prime is not touting to be either of those.
Truly a CEO.
He is a galvanizing force. He is a marketing and salesperson. He's a promotion. He is out there to sell the program, bring talent in, bring dollars in. He understands what his job is, and he does it to the nth degree. Would that have worked at Auburn is a completely separate question. That question is answered to me is, I don't know. I don't know if it'll work at Auburn because of who he is as a person, not necessarily meshing with the people who he needed to interact with. And I think Hugh Freeze fits with those people a lot better than Coach Prime does, in my opinion. And I don't know any of those people personally, but I do understand the culture that exists at, and this is not a, and I know when we specifically, the four of us, Mike G not being here, say things like that, everybody takes that to be racially undertoned. That's not a racial statement. To me,
I mean, that's the same concern with Kiffin. Would he mix with those people? Like that was the same concern with him. So no, it's not. I think it's easy to do that because we're talking about Prime, but that was the same concern you would have had with other people as well. I think that's why Hugh Freeze makes so much more sense.
The original statement, dodged a bullet or we missed big, that is still yet to be seen. You know, I don't think that the hire that we have is a bad hire. I think the hire that we have fits the culture of what Auburn is today. We just got to see some results before we determine, like, everything looks good up until you start rolling the tape out and you lose 6 games.
Right. For sure. Cody Smith, appreciate the super chat. You got a few up here. I'm gonna go through these. He was referring to Riley, who's he said, I guess at TCU, he's a QB coach. So he's not a coordinator, but a QB coach.
Okay. Well, if that's a promotion, then
that would work. That would work, actually. Cody Smith comes back and says 100% he's going to get the players, no doubt, but let's just see how his son plays against linemen that are 300 pounds that can keep up with him. We'll see. It's the Pac-12.
That's a indictment on Shador, not Coach Prime, but okay.
Sure. Says, don't get me wrong. If we would have got Prime, let's go. So you would have been jazzed if we got him. You jazzed now. I feel you. Being honest. Perry Unlikely says primetime would have been a great short-term fix if he were to leave and go to the pros directly after. Otherwise, as he goes, so goes recruits.
And I think that's fair. That's fair. That's fair to know. Because if you go from Prime, right? The most charismatic, relatively young black head coach in the country. Like, I would say definitely the most charismatic. There are other black head coaches in the country, but down here in the SEC, where there's so much talent that could relate as black guys here, you're the head coach. You talk just like my uncle talk. My uncle grew up watching you, loving you. Like there is a level of stardom that he brought that the recruits would instantly attach to. And then when he left, they would instantly leave. It would be gone. Like, the next head coach comes in and, you have the meetings with him and he decide, okay, well, here's where you stand. I'm trying to bring in another person at your position so you can go or you can stay. It's up to you. Listen, man, I don't think when Prime leaves, whoever follows up Deion at Colorado, like they could be like, no, we ain't got to meet. I'm out of here.
That's a really good point, B, because in the age of the transfer portal, if you're going to Colorado because of Prime.
Correct.
You're not going to Colorado because you love Colorado and you appreciate their tradition.
There's not a chance.
Right.
When Prime leaves, I don't.
That program is bankrupt again.
Yeah. It's like LeBron when he left Cleveland.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
is down and is so again, that's something you have to consider with someone like Prime coming to your program for sure.
Yeah.
Chris Brown says prime example of why, see what you did there, why we should have gotten Prime. He took another job and we're still talking about him. Auburn dropped the ball not hiring Dion. I just think Dion has just been,
I mean, let's be clear. We're only talking about him because you guys are super chatting, asking about him. We didn't have
Sure.
Prime as a topic for us to get in here and talk about because he has
really supposed to be
nothing
talking
to
about the
do with
portal.
Auburn or the SEC right now. But we're talking about him because you guys are interested in the conversation. But I had no plans of talking about Prime,
Same
other
here.
than the fact that he took a guy who was potentially the defensive coordinator here in Charles Kelly. Outside of that, I ain't.
Yeah.
It's not an Auburn topic anymore.
Joey Kelsey says Prime will leave Colorado for more money. If we don't have OC or DC named soon, it has to mean who we are getting is still coaching during the bowl season.
And coaching a significant game, because if you're just coaching an exhibition game, which it doesn't matter if it's New Year's 69, if it's not college football playoff, it is an exhibition game. Because what's his name? Tennessee, they had a great record. They're going to play in New Year's Six Bowl. Their offensive coordinator just left to take a head coaching job. So there's nothing keeping you there if you don't want him. I guess in a situation where if a coordinator has been there a long time, he's really attached to the program and the players, similar to what Scott Frost did after the 2017 season. They had a magical season. He accepted the Nebraska job, but he wanted to stay and coach UCF in their bowl game that he beat Gus Malzahn for a national championship. Yeah, I can see in that case, yeah, you're attached to that program and the players in that year you stay. But are any of the candidates that we're talking about, have they had that kind of season? So TCU, maybe. If you're talking Riley or TCU, yeah, they're still in it for something. They got a chance at a national championship, however small the chance might be. Yeah, you stay and you coach that team because you've never been there before. TCU's never been there before.
We can't wait until the daggone college football playoff to announce an offense coordinator. I'm sorry. That's too long.
It would be rough. It would be rough.
That's too long, man. That means you've missed early signing day and like you're a month and a half into the portal being open. Nah, fam. That ain't.
The portal is only open for 45 days. Is the first time around 45 days, which means if you wait until then,
you will
got
need
like
a
8
QB.
days.
That's
but you need a QB
point.
coach. You need a QB coach for
That's
sure.
my point. Your staff needs to be done. I would prefer it be done by the end of this week, because then you have a week and a half to really go full steam ahead for early signing day and because a lot of kids are making those decisions earlier and earlier now, especially with how the transfer portal is working.
Exactly.
Like if you are delaying your announcement as a high 3-star because you're waiting to see how things shake out, you're going to be playing an FCS school. Yeah. Like, let's be clear. They're going to go fill out their class in early signing day, and then they're going to fill out the rest of their roster in the transfer portal. And then they're going to go get whoever is left over. You're going to be at an FCS school, bro. Like, if you're not like top 150 in the country, just go ahead and accept the FCS offer if you don't go ahead and make that decision at early signing day and commit somewhere. And that means that the talent pool starts to diminish even more in an arms race that has become college football. We got to have that staff ironed out before then, in my opinion. Again, I've never coached anywhere, so I don't know. But I would assume that's the direction you would want to go, because there's a couple of other things that are in play there as well. Spring football is going, and all of your stuff that you're going to be doing to get your guys ready in your system is going to have begun at that point in time. And then the players on your team still have another opportunity to leave. And so you want to know that those guys are committed to the guys that you have coaching them in that room before then, so that you don't have to go through this whole upheaval of people again once spring starts or ends. So listen, man, I need to get it done.
Yeah, I saw a lot of talk from recruiting services and stuff. They were saying that it was nice to try to put a limit on the transfer portal, give it a certain window, but this was the wrong window. Right when coaches are going to be moving and changing is not the time to open the portal. Like, we're literally the day after all the championship games have been played. Boom, everybody go. Yeah, but everybody's changing positions now. So how are you really supposed to? You're going to get there. Somebody had to fly to Auburn. They threw a polo and a hat at him, said, hey, go get on the plane. All right, here I go. And now you got coaches who just got here who might not even know the War Eagle Fight song yet. out here recruiting with Auburn hat and clothes on, shaking hands and smiling. It's like, you don't know anything yet. They just said go recruit this dude. What are you gonna tell him? Hey man, you gotta see the facilities. I hadn't seen it, but I heard it's good. Like, you don't know, you don't even know what you're selling.
Yeah,
It's
they
too
haven't
quick,
had
man.
a chance to really even evaluate.
Yeah.
Like again, I bring up the wide receiver room thing, right? It's hard for you to come coach guys and you didn't even see their high school tape.
Right.
Like, you didn't recruit this kid. You don't know anything about why they were brought in here, what they were told and promised when you're just in here trying to piece together information from somebody else who told you, yeah, well, this guy is like this. That's difficult, man.
Yeah.
Like, you're putting the longer you wait on this, all I'm saying is the less and less you're setting up your guys for success. So you have to make it where they have the most advantage that they can of evaluating the talent that they have and then going and filling out their rooms with the talent they need.
Cody Smith says Brian Johnson for OC. Just saying, go get him.
You know what? So I was somebody who's an Eagles fan that I follow. They shared this little piece on, I think it was on NFL Network, talking about how the Eagles' offensive line is excellent.
It is,
because
it's an amazing line.
Yeah, because the Eagles' offensive line coach is excellent, and it was highlighted by he was actually hired by Chip Kelly when Chip Kelly was there at Philly. He has been there through the following 3 coaches. Because, well, no, it's just been 2. It's Peterson, Doug Peterson, and this coach right here. Listen, they were saying that it was on one of the Sunday Night Football games, you know, where they announced where they're from. They were like, B. Will, Auburn University. So this guy said, I think his name is Stoutmeyer. I can't remember his name. If y'all know it, y'all correct me in the chat. And the offensive line player was a 7th round draft pick. He was a 7th round draft pick. He was like a project, like maybe it worked, maybe it wouldn't. So he's been there for a couple years. He gets coached up. They say this guy's going to the Pro Bowl this year. And when he said his school, he was like the School of Stoutmeyer. That's how much of an impact this offensive line coach has on that player and all those players. And collectively, they play outstanding as an offensive line. I'm not saying that Brian Johnson isn't good. I'm saying, if you give me a great offensive line and an offensive line coach who's going to be there for years and years and years, let me see what the OC does without that in place. Then I think that's a much more fair assessment of what he can do. We've seen OCs look good because a quarterback is special. Like, I'm not saying Eric Bieniemy isn't great. Who was your quarterback? I'm saying, man, go coach in Atlanta. Go coach Marcus Mariota. And then they put up some numbers, then you're a great OC. Go coach, like right now, Byron Leftwich, Tom Brady can't put up more than 20 points a game. I don't know. Is he a great OC? I don't know. Take the outstanding, the exceptional out of the formula, and then just do it with some average pieces and tell me if it's because of you or because of those pieces. So that's my only input for Brian Johnson. I don't know if he's good or not. You can't have an offensive line that the whole line swears by the coach. The whole league is clamoring about how good the line is, but the OC is getting a lot of the credit. Let's just wait. Let's just wait on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So apparently, it's been announced since we've been on that Kent Austin joined the staff. Oh, here we go.
This is Corey Weber's comment here. Kent Austin is on the staff, and it was believed he will be joining the staff regardless.
Where's he from? Is he from Liberty?
He was the OC at Liberty.
Okay.
He says, my guess is he'll be named the OC QB coach soon. So that's one guess for Kent Austin.
Man, we just need to lock up this wide receiver coach. The offensive staff is done.
Yeah.
Then you get a D coordinator, and let's hit the ground running, man.
Let's go.
Just please don't let it be Grantham. Sorry.
If it's Grantham, I may have to reevaluate everything, dog. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I may have a meltdown off air. And these guys are gonna have.
I'm gonna have it on air during the morning. During the morning drop, I'm just gonna like completely talk about how this is stupid and everybody was right about Hugh Freeze. He's a terrible coach. I'm gonna just go completely in. It ain't gonna have.
Prime wouldn't have hired him.
I'm gonna rant about everything, and I don't like his stupid. His suits is dumb. Just everything.
You don't even wear suits.
Yeah,
but it's dumb. Yeah,
I hate his visor. I hate everything.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Donnell says, what does the crime dog hire mean for Etheridge? It just means that Etheridge will be coaching a specific position in the
Again, they're
secondary.
either going to divide the secondary, or one of those guys, likely Etheridge, is going to be a special teams coach.
Right. And I really do think your coordinator hire does factor into this as well.
100% factors into it. Yes.
So I just keep an eye out on who they hire as, because if they hire a secondary type coach for coordinator, then Etheridge likely does move over and does something special teams related. So Cody Smith says it ain't him. I guess he's referring to
was the reason for the success.
Grantham. Yeah,
Yeah,
is that what he's talking about? It ain't him.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're talking about Grantham. I hope it ain't him. I hope it ain't him. We've been very vocal about that. Let's go ahead and get into our giveaway. In case you don't know, we are giving away a mug courtesy of War Eagle Oil. Please be sure to enter hashtag get your weight up in the comments. We have over 500 people. 500 people here. Hopefully, a lot of you have entered to win this mug.
Oh, you know what?
Uh-oh.
Y'all, we gonna have to wait a little bit longer. My bad. I wasn't counting the entries before now. So, like, if you've entered, go ahead and re-enter. You got you got 10 minutes.
Sheesh. Yeah, well, at least the person who wins will be here because it'll be recent. So
yeah.
Hashtag get your weight up.
My bad.
Hashtag get your weight up. Let's talk, Ike. Let's go ahead and talk about the transfer portal. It opened up on Monday. You guys have been covering that over the past two lives on Monday and Tuesday, the morning drop. Guys, please be sure to check Ike and Mike out in the morning as they cover all the latest and greatest information involving our coaching staff as well as the transfer portal. We've had some guys depart recently. We talked about a few of them. Keandre Jones has entered the portal. That's an offensive lineman. Marquise Robinson he joined Zeke Walker as a defensive lineman who's entering the portal. Joko Willis, who was moved to edge position, who I'm going to be honest, man, I was a little sad about this one, but I saw it coming because dude wasn't getting any burn, even at the edge position with all the injuries we saw.
He seemed like he was too small to really be an effective edge. And, he just wasn't able to crack the depth chart at linebacker. But how our linebackers play this year, he probably was sitting on the sidelines pissed, like, man, y'all put me out the linebacker room for this. But, anyway.
So, other than that, you got AD Diamond, who entered the portal a little bit early. As far as receivers, of course, we had a little bit of a back and forth with Capers. He's in the portal now, if I'm not mistaken. DeZalen Worsham, who came over from Miami in the offseason last year, he's back in the portal. They joined J.J. Evans, who entered the portal earlier this year.
Still not convinced J.J. Evans is a real person, by the way, but
fair enough. Jordan Ingram entered the portal. He entered the portal, and of course, one of the big news, one of the first guys to hop in the portal was Zach Calzada, and we were curious as to whether or not he was going to stay with the new coaching change, but he is in the portal. He will not be a part of the program moving forward. Some of the guys that Auburn is looking at, I believe they have offered a tight end, Rivaldo Fairweather out of FIU. I think it's three people so far they've offered, Ike, if I'm not mistaken. I think they've offered
Ra Thomas.
Thomas. Have they offered him, or is he just visiting?
No, he got an offer. He's visiting. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, he's either coming to Auburn today or tomorrow. He'll be in town. So he's already got an official offer from Auburn.
Okay. So we've offered a wide receiver. I believe there's a defensive lineman we have offered as well. I think he's out of Central or Western Michigan or somewhere like that.
Western Michigan, I believe. Yeah.
So we have about 3 or 4 people. And I think Bay Lyman asked any news on OL offensive lineman acquisitions in the portal.
Nothing substantial yet. I mean, of course, listen, they're out there evaluating and making offers properly to a bunch of kids in the offensive line. But you have to understand the premium at which offensive line is. And this is something we've talked about before. you have to convince guys not just that they'll have playing time, but that they'll be successful in your program, because there's a lot of like our O-line coach right now is Thornton, who is at Ole Miss, right? And so you have to convince guys that he is somebody who can put you in the league. How many offensive linemen has Thornton put in the league versus some of these places like a Wisconsin or an Oklahoma or Kentucky or places where they just known Iowa. They just known for putting Michigan now, putting offensive linemen in the league year after year after year. You have to convince them that they're moving from wherever they are and they have an opportunity to go play somewhere that is consistently placed people in the league. And you are now the place where they need to come and do that. So it's not just there. And this is the thing that I think that frustrates me the most about the rhetoric around how good a coaching staff is doing. It's hard to convince guys. It's not just, did you make the offer? Did you throw some money at him? That kid has to want to come play for you as well.
Right.
And you can make the most compelling pitch in the world, but that pitch doesn't come. If I am a stud, again, I worked in the tech industry for 8 years. If I'm a stud developer, am I going to go somewhere where, and it's not a one-to-one comparison because there's money involved in the offers and these different things, but am I going to go work somewhere that is known for putting out some of the best developers in the world, or better yet, schools where the program, let's talk about school. That's actually even a better comparison, right? Like there's Auburn has really good engineering and architectural schools, right? If I want to be an architect, am I going to go to Alabama? Probably not.
Right.
When I could go to Auburn. Like, not that Bama has a terrible architectural school. Who has the better school?
Right.
Whose name on that degree gives me a better opportunity to prepare for the job that I want to have in the rest of my life? If I'm an offensive lineman, who's the guy that has been setting people up for success to be pros at offensive line? That's the evaluation process, not just where can I go start tomorrow and who's giving me the best NIL deal. You can get a great NIL deal at just about any Power 5 school. It's not about money in that scenario. It's about money if you're moving down from a Power 5 school to like an FCS school, right? Because you're going to get significantly less dollars. It is about money. But if dollar for dollar is the same, who's going to put me in the best situation to be in the NFL? And right now, Auburn hasn't proven to be that place. So you're basically doing that on a maybe it'll work, taking a chance. So we might not get the best transfer portal class in the world. They're gonna have to do what they can do. And so hopefully they're gonna be selling some real good dreams.
Do you think name recognition in terms of coach? I mean, granted, Hugh Freeze has kind of been out off the big stage for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think name recognition of Hugh Freeze and what he's been able to do offensively, even at Liberty, does that help his case as opposed to maybe a Brian Harsin who came from a Boise?
It
who
would
was
for
pretty
a quarterback,
much
and it probably will for wide receivers because it signals a change from a run first, mentality. And so now they're going to spread the ball around. I don't know that it does it for an offensive lineman. Maybe, but like it definitely, like, it moves the needle for quarterback for sure. And it probably moves the needle for a pass catcher, whether that's a tight end or a wide receiver. And now Hugh Freeze actually does have a good pedigree of offensive linemen. Like, he got, like, the classes that he put together at Ole Miss. There's guys that are in the league, offensive linemen from Ole Miss in those classes that went to the league. The question is whether or not you attribute that stuff to Hugh Freeze or you attribute it to whoever his O-line coach was at the time. And that guy was not Thornton, right? And so there is a sell job that has to happen there. Now, the thing that Hugh Freeze can do that can sell it, and which makes me confident that he can go and get some good O-linemen in this class, is he can put you on the phone with guys that are in the NFL right now that were coached by him and said, no, Hugh Freeze did everything for me. Like, he can at least have somebody pick up the phone and be like, hey, can you come talk to this young kid? Because he doesn't believe I can make it happen for him. And you're proof that he can. So he could do that right now. And so there is an opportunity for that sort of thing to happen under Hugh Freeze. So we've got a chance. And I think we have a better chance than some people probably imagine that we do.
Brian Hampshire says, let's give him a 2-minute warning on get your weight up.
Oh, I
Let's
see. I
set a
forgot. I
new
hadn't even
record.
looked at it. We're up to 100 now. We could do it now.
Let's set a new record tonight. Hit like, y'all. Please be sure to smash that like button, guys. And I think we are ready, Ike.
Let's get to it. Hashtag get your weight up is in effect. We've got 100 people. Somebody's going to win them a mug. The winner for tonight's
going to be
is Damian
Smith. Damian, drop. Make sure I didn't see you earlier, but be sure to drop. Let us know that you're here, and we will definitely acknowledge you. Be on the lookout for that, Ike.
Yeah.
Lawrence Robinson.
Actually, he literally just commented like 1 minute ago, so he's probably still here, unless he just dropped that comment and walked off. So
Lawrence Robinson says, aren't we looking at an offensive lineman from Rhode Island? We are, and there's a few names that's been mentioned. He's been one of the I think his name is Johnny Cornelius or something like that. I think he's out of Rhode Island. So we're looking at several different offensive linemen. I know, Ike, you mentioned the guy from Alabama who actually, I think is Javion
Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah, who actually showed up to Auburn's practice a year ago trolling, and now he's in the portal.
Mm-hmm.
So again,
and he was a former Auburn, I think either commit or like he was in their top 5 or something like that. Like he was,
I think he was a lean towards Auburn, and I think I don't know if he had intentions of signing with Auburn, but Auburn started recruiting him, and now he's in the portal. How many offensive linemen do you see us getting? What's the over under in terms of offensive linemen you see us getting out the portal?
So currently committed in the class, I think there's 3. So Clay Whedon, I know for sure. Braden Joyner, I know for sure. Maybe one other. So that would put the number of scholarship guys to 12.
Didn't we lose one when we fired?
Oh, that's right. That's right. So it's only 2. Yeah. So that'll put us at 11 scholarship guys. You probably want 18 to 20 to be in your room, right? So you're going to need somewhere around 7-8 guys if you're not going to get any more in this class. So yeah, you're in the transfer portal.
They're going to know who can you even get at this point out of high school, right?
It's going to be a tough to flip somebody, right? Like people are still optimistic about a Bo Hughley flip and maybe one other guy. So you might be able to bring in 2 other guys. And again, there's probably some uncommitted or loosely committed 3-star guys, high 3-star guys that are out there, low 4-star guys that you could probably go and flip if you really wanted to put your effort towards that. But you're going to need to sign somewhere around 6 guys out of the portal, probably for you to build significant depth that's going to be able to come in and compete day one. Because, again, you got to think about, you're only going to start 5 guys on the offensive line. You can only start 5. You're going to need some guys that are going to be able to be solid backup. So you need 10 good guys in the room. We only have 9 on scholarship right now. And then you have the 2 more that are coming in that puts you at 11, meaning you're going to have 2 true freshmen and a bunch of redshirt guys and guys that don't have snaps. So you're going to want to go get guys that have had playing time that you can coach up. You're going to need probably about 6 dudes. If you get 6 dudes, you're probably in a good place.
Zaire is coming back to my knowledge. I haven't heard of him not staying.
He hasn't declared for the draft, but he was a senior. So so when I count those 9 guys, I don't count anybody who's a senior who could potentially go to the draft unless they've officially said that they're coming back. So I didn't count him in the number of guys.
He could come back. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything, but again, it's decision time for a lot of these guys. So let me grab this super chat from Corey. It says, setting the portal signee over under at 15. Do we sign more?
I think you got to sign more.
I think you do.
More or less. I think you have to sign over 15
So you said 7 or 8?
I mean, I think optimum 7 or 8, 6 at minimum. So I'd say somewhere between 6 and 8 is what you would want from just the offensive line. You're likely going to bring in 2 quarterbacks. So that'll put you, let's just say we take the under on that. 2 for sure. Right. So, okay, look at the quarterback room. You've got 2 scholarship quarterbacks right now if TJ Finley doesn't return.
You do have. Well, I don't know. I don't know if Auburn keeps the kid who committed out of Florida, the 3-star kid out of high
Well,
school. But you do need another QB out of the portal, at
you
least one.
probably want 5 though, right?
Okay.
So if you keep the kid that's the true freshman, that puts you at 3. You need to bring in 2. One, at least one, but probably 2 are going to be coming in out of the portal. And then again, that's if TJ Finley does not stay, which all signs point to he likely will not. He's probably just going to work on his grades, try to graduate and transfer. Zach Calzada's already gone. Trey Lindsey, even though he was on scholarship and was a walk-on, graduated, right? So he's out of there. He wasn't going to compete for the job anyway. So you likely are going to want to sign 2 of those guys. So you're up to 8 now if you only take 6 offensive linemen. You're likely going to bring in 2 wide receivers into the room. 1, maybe 2 wide receivers, right? So you're now at 10.
You got a tight end that you're going after.
You got a tight end that you're going to go after. That puts you at 11. Then you're going to fill out. You need some edge guys. You're probably going to want to bring in 2 edge guys at least, and then probably
you need 2 guys and 2 in the interior. So that's 15 right there. And we ain't talked about linebacker.
We haven't gotten a linebacker or a defensive back. 15. If we don't bring in 15 guys, then I would be disappointed in what the transfer portal looked like. Because I mean, again, you do have freshmen that are going to be coming in the class. But I just think that you need some more guys with experience. So 15 plus is probably what a good number to be at.
I'm thinking with 2 linebackers, and we still don't know what our cornerback situation looks like because DJ James hasn't made a decision.
He got an invitation to the Senior Bowl. He hasn't announced that he's going to be going.
Pritchett hasn't said anything.
Pritchett hasn't announced either. But I mean, like all signs,
I don't expect Pritchett to come back.
Yeah. So you're likely going to have, with playing experience, JD Rim and what's my guy's name? I'm ashamed. Keontae Scott at cornerback.
Scott. Yeah.
Like that's pretty much it if both of those guys leave at cornerback. So you're going to need some more corners. You still have a couple of guys that haven't played very much in Austin Osbury, and you know there's some other names that are out there that are talented, but yeah, you're going to need a couple of cornerbacks, and the safety room is probably good. I mean, you still have Puckett. You still have, Jalen Simpson's still on the team. I didn't mention him. Sorry. He would be at corner
Jalen. Yeah. So he'd be a hybrid of some sort.
Right. You still have Marquise Gilbert back there in the safety room. You still got Donovan Kaufman back there in the safety room. Kalen Bridges is back there. Caleb Wooden is still back there. So your safety room is probably pretty good. But you're going to need to bring some more outside guys /
so you're looking at maybe 17.
Yeah, nickelback. You're still going to need somebody. You're going to need corners. I mean, yeah. So, yeah.
17, 18 maybe.
If it's less than 15, I'm going to be disappointed, honestly.
Yeah. Okay. We will definitely see about that. Damian Smith says, I am here, fam. Congratulations, good sir. We need you to email us business@thewar report, and we need your physical address, and we will send you that mug. Thanks for hanging out with us, man. Thanks for being a supporter of the show, and enjoy that mug, sir. All right. Daniel Owen says, what you guys heard about QB Spencer Sanders? He's got 1 year left and could give Robbie time to develop, seeing his numbers compared to Bo Wallace. So thoughts about this, Ike?
Let me be clear about a couple of things. I was not a big Bo Wallace fan. So comparing his numbers to Bo Wallace don't excite me, other than the fact that it was a Hugh Freeze quarterback. Spencer Sanders, have not watched any of his tape, so I don't know anything about him enough to give you an evaluation of him as a player. But we'll see. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Like I don't watch a lot of dudes until like they get committed to us. Like, because watching film the way I watch it is exhausting. There's a lot of stuff to sit and watch, and I gotta watch. And I don't like watching people's highlight tape because that's not a good evaluation of whether or not they're a good quarterback or a good player in general. So like I want to watch like a whole game or 2 of theirs. And so it just takes a long time to be able to do that. And especially if they're not a quarterback, like then you got to watch all kinds of stuff on plays that you might not even catch on TV. So, but I haven't watched Spencer Sanders enough to make a real good evaluation of him.
Yeah. Corey Weber feels confident that we will flip DJ Chester. I believe he's the offensive line kid who's committed to LSU. And I know we were in it for him early on.
Yeah.
In the recruiting cycle. So be interesting to see him as well as the guy who's committed to Georgia right now. I mean, Bo Hughley was that was a big cat expectation that he was going to flip around that time. So that kind of died down. But again, let's see what this new staff can do in a short period of time. Cody Smith says it's going to be okay. War Eagle. I agree, Cody. It definitely will be okay.
It will be okay unless it's
unless who?
Ty Grantham is the coach.
Yeah. Then it won't be okay.
Nope.
All right, you took the words right out of my mouth. Corey Weber says, any chance Puckett gains weight and plays linebacker? He can make plays around the line of scrimmage.
I think that actually makes a ton of sense. The hybrid linebacker. So here's the thing. Like, there are guys who are big enough to play, or excuse me, agile enough to play safety, which I think Puckett is. He's not great in coverage, but he's agile enough to play safety, but they're big enough at the college level to play linebacker. And depending upon what our scheme is like, he would make an excellent linebacker because he could play a position. What was the kid's name that was here a couple of years ago? He was a punt returner for a while, and he played kind of that rover position, star position is what they called it in the previous thing. He was a punt returner / DB. I cannot think of his name right now, but he was playing really well. Then he hurt his knee. This was like 3 years ago. It was in the Kevin Steele.
I know you're talking about. I can't think of his name. Because he was a slot guy. Someone in the comments tell us.
Somebody's going, because I don't feel like Googling it. Yeah, Christian Tutt. Yeah, so Christian Tutt was that guy. Another guy that's kind of in that mold is like a Jamie Sherwood, a guy who can play like a hybrid. But like the mold for this, and I'm going to mention a guy from a team that I follow, which is San Francisco, is a guy like Fred Warner. Like Fred Warner played safety in college, but he transferred in and he started playing linebacker when he went into the league. That's the kind of guy that I think Puckett can be from a size perspective. He's a guy who's big enough to play in the middle. He's rangy and he can play sideline to sideline. Puckett's not a bad tackler, not a great tackler, but not a bad tackler. But he can cover probably like running backs and tight ends a little bit better than he can cover receivers on deep routes. So I think that'd be a good transition for him, but it's really more so about a scheme fit. If the scheme fits it, then he'll work well with it.
For sure. SS Austin says, would y'all take DJ?
No.
Uiagalelei?
Okay, let me not say that so quickly. I said no very fast. If it happened, I wouldn't be mad at it, but I just feel like,
he can be the second QB you take.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I just don't see a ton of upside with him above what you would have already with Robbie in the room. Like, for me, you're gonna have, if you're gonna bring somebody into the room, you need to bring somebody who's more accurate. And DJ is not like the most accurate quarterback. If you're going to already bring in a quarterback that you need to work with on mechanics and accuracy, you might as well just spend that resource on Robbie. Like, I want to see somebody who is a little bit more accurate already. He's played at a high level, so that's good. But them ACC defenses ain't scaring too many people out here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm not big.
Maybe a fresh start helps him. I don't know.
I don't know if it helps you in the SEC.
Yeah. I don't know how you trot him out against Georgia's defense in week 5 and think he's going to be ready.
No. And if that's the case, then he should have been fine where he was at Clemson.
Right.
Cody Smith says, my wife laughs at me when I get excited, y'all. I guess when we call
my name. That's
War Eagle at you, Cody. So I think we covered most of what we want to see. Again, what do we expect to see? I know some people mentioned that there may be some flips. Do you expect to see a lot with the current class, or do we just hold serve? I think a lot of what we saw, within the first week of Hugh Freeze being hired as head coach, is that basically keeping the current class intact, making them. We've secured Jeremiah Cobb. There was concerns about Georgia pushing for him being interested in Georgia. He's come out and said that He's firm with Auburn. So I think a lot of what Hugh Freeze and the staff has done has been a lot of damage control in terms of securing the guys that they actually want in this class.
Right.
Do we see them actually add significant numbers, or is it strictly about saving what you got and then going to the portal?
I think there's going to be some addition because guys that you're bringing in. So again, it's a philosophical change too, right? So you have the opportunity now to possibly get some wide receivers that you weren't really in there for because we might be throwing the ball around the yard a little bit more, and the type of receiver that you're looking for is going to be changing as well. So you're going to be looking at some guys like that you wouldn't have had a chance for before because the offensive philosophy didn't make them feel like they were ever going to see the ball. Same thing goes with, what I said about offensive linemen. I think you've changed a little bit what you can possibly look for in offensive. I think that's going to be interesting from a scheme standpoint. We're going from this pro style offense where they were trying to beef guys up. We haven't talked a lot about strength and conditioning, and that's probably because Mike hasn't been on as much lately, but we haven't talked a lot about strength and conditioning, but the type of, and he's a guy from Liberty, right? And so from a strength and conditioning standpoint, what is the style of athlete that you want to go after for some of these positions, and how do we want to get them ready for that sort of thing? I think it's going to be interesting to see just physicality in the trenches, what that's going to look like from a strength standpoint. And then from the defensive side, what your scheme is going to be is going to determine the type of athletes that you're going to be getting there as well. Everybody's not a plug and play defensive guy, even if they're super talented. I think we proved that when, what was the kid's name that was this, had the Chucky doll? I don't know why I can't remember nobody's name. I'm getting old, bro. They had the Chucky doll when he did his announcement, came here, stayed for a couple of years, transferred to Maryland.
Oh yeah, I can't think of his name.
Anyway, he proves to you sometimes scheme matters, right? Well, he's not the only one, but I'm saying that there's a lot of kids that where you fit them into the scheme is going to really determine how successful they're going to be playing and play out. Like Coward, Byron Coward.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spade and Corey. A bunch of people said it in the comments now, but some people just don't two gap well. Some people don't single gap well. Some people are fit for certain schemes a little bit better, especially when you're interior defensive lineman, whether or not you're a 0 tech or a 3 tech and all that kind of stuff, how they line you up and how they're asking you to be utilized, with whatever your physical abilities are. So having an identity on defense is going to be important. That's going to determine how many linebackers you trot out on play-to-play basis, right? So it's going to determine how many guys you need in your linebacker room, what kind of scheme you play on the back end is going to, if you're going to be playing a physical man defense, you probably want taller corners who can play bump and run a little bit better. You want physical guys as opposed to be quick guys who can stay with, it's a lot that's got to be determined that having the right coach in place makes that determination. So to the question about, do we flip guys? A lot of that's going to be, and then relationships those guys had with wherever they're coming from. Do they have guys who are fiercely committed to them? It's well, I really want to go where my coach, who I've been talking to for the last year and a half, is going to be as well.
Right.
So,
right. Gracie Skywalker says Tony Mitchell, James Smith, and Quay Russaw will be in Auburn's class. James Smith and Quay Russaw, kids out of Montgomery who have been very consistent in saying that they will be playing college ball together. Your thoughts on this? Do you think Auburn has a legitimate shot? I know it's down to them and Bama.
Yeah, I mean, I think our chances diminished a little bit with Rock not being here anymore. I think they really liked him. And more so than what they liked about Rock, they liked what the players had to say about Rock. And a lot of the guys who they admire, who are no longer going to be here, right? Like guys like Kobe Wood and guys like Derek Hall, who aren't going to be here to really mentor them, were putting their reputation to say Rock is a good guy. Yeah, you should rock with him. He's not here anymore. So now they've got to develop this whole new relationship with someone else. I think that hurt our chances a little bit with those guys. But solidifying this defensive staff and building those relationships back up, because I think they like Auburn, right? And so them liking Auburn is a big thing. Now they've got to like the guy who they're going to go play for in the leading that room.
For sure. Jacob Chiz says, is Aku coming back? Kaufman equals linebacker. I don't expect Aku Leota to come back.
He hasn't announced, but I don't see a reason why he would. edge rushers come at a premium at the next level, and
he's good.
He's really good.
good.
The question that people, I mean, look, he's got his Northwestern film. He's got a year and a half of, or a year and a couple of games of film here at Auburn, where you can see him going out there dominating people at all levels of competition. I don't know. He Tank, Pritchett, DJ James, a lot of those guys, that's going to depend on their draft grade, like where they get graded out versus what they can make in NIL. And Auburn NIL is starting to pick up steam. So you're going to get some of those guys who are on the fringe, 4th, 5th round guys making the decision to come back. I don't see Echo Leota slip into the 5th round, though. Like, I don't know. If he does, then somebody's getting a steal.
Right. I'll be shocked if he goes that late.
And then all of the other part of that, Kaufman at linebacker, I think he's too small. Right. He's good. And
he's safety.
He's
safety.
He is either a safety or a slot corner, but he's not big enough to play linebacker.
Bay Lyman says Tank's still contemplating whether to come back. He hasn't made a decision. I'm assuming he still is. I will be surprised if he comes back. Your thoughts, like?
Yeah. At this point in time, again, it's a draft grade thing. I don't know that he will or will not yet, but he was firmly out the door a couple of weeks ago. He's leaned more towards the direction of coming back, but I still think that he is more gone than he is still here.
Yeah, for sure. The Wolf says, guys, lower your expectations on the staff. When you hire a guy off the scrap heap instead of Dion, we ain't going to be anything but mediocre.
That's
so it's
funny.
almost like a Dion or bust type of sentiment here, which I don't agree. But
off the scrap heap, I think I think that's a little disrespectful to who Hugh Freeze is amongst amongst the SEC coaching tree. Mm-hmm. If you listen to guys who coach, they'll tell you Hugh Freeze is a good coach. If you listen to people who know coaches, if you listen to recruits who know Hugh Freeze, they'll all tell you he's a good coach. So I think scrap heap is a little disrespectful. But, hey, listen, I understand he's not Deion in some people's eyes, but Deion Sanders, again, has never coached at the Power 5 level. So you're hiring on potential, not productivity.
Track record. I think that's all we got, man. Again, if I know some people mentioned Travis, so depending on how that goes, we'll definitely keep you guys updated on staff hires and what this coaching staff is doing. I tell the people what they need to be doing, sir.
Yeah, they need to become friends with Jazzy Joe, who I saw just come into the comment section.
What up,
and
Jazz?
Jazzy Joe only allows you to be his friend if you're a member of the War Report. Outside of that, you're going to have to be on the waiting list to be his friend. But you get immediate entry. Your street cred is good if you're a War Report member. So come on board to the community, man. Like, we got a lot of stuff and again, we're going to be back at y'all with a morning drop. So tomorrow morning, bright and early, I'll be back at y'all around, I think I'm doing them at 9 a.m. Central. So I'll be back 9 a.m. Central doing another morning drop, but you can only chat if you're a member. You can watch it, but you can't chat unless you're a member. So come on board and be a member of the War Report to get that perk. If you are a member and you want to gift a membership to somebody else, you can do that right now in the live chat from a desktop computer. You can gift a membership. The first month of their War Report membership will be on you. If you didn't have an opportunity to win the merch today, you can go shop for your own. That's another way that you can support us financially. All of those dollars help to make sure that we can get our weight up and continue to bring you guys the best Auburn content out here on the interwebs, and we definitely appreciate that. If you like to listen to stuff in audio format, we are doing that as the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report, on every place where you go and listen to stuff. Tomorrow, it's Ike Mack and Memes. I was sitting in for my guy Mike G, so I got a conversation with our guy Auburn Memes and our girl Brandy Mack dropping for you guys tomorrow on the podcast. Also, the A-Man Corner is in full swing, so you hear me having conversations with Georgia and Florida guys, just talking about the state of the SEC and all things SEC. So you guys lock in with the Auburn Express everywhere where you listen to podcast stuff, and we definitely appreciate everybody for doing that.
Guys, before you get out of here, please be sure to share this content on social media. Smash the like button. Please be sure to help us with our engagement. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're on social media. That is Instagram and Twitter, even Facebook at The War Rapport. We are TW Rapport on TikTok. So for now, guys, we will definitely catch you in the morning with the morning drop. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle. Very